So this week I was in Norway and it was great. The weather was terrible, but I still had a grand time sightseeing, running, hiking, exploring, and even a bit of climbing. In summary, it was a few days with a ton of impressions. And that is what this story is about. See, whenever I go on a trip like this, however big or small, I always come home energized. Sure, jet lag and travel fatigue can tire out my body, but my mind is always refreshed, ready to create. The Artist Way explains how this phenomenon can be triggered with a simple tool called the Artist Date. And here's some great news. To do this, you don't need to travel to faraway places. You don't need to spend a lot of money, and you don't need to spend any vacation time. So let's dive a bit deeper into what this is. Now, I don't really call myself an artist. I don't even consider myself that creative. But I do like to create. And really, that is what this tool is for. To help you and I create more and better stuff. The premise of the Artist Date is that in order to create, we draw from an inner well that contains our creative reserves. So to complete any creative project, I tap from my personal inner well of creativity. I use stored impressions, experiences, emotions, images. And when this well is empty, I'm blocked. I'm out of creativity. To continue creating, we need to maintain a balance. We can tap from our well by creating, but we must also fill this well, our creative reserves, by, well, this is where the Artist Date comes into play. The Artist Date is a tool for filling the well, for building up creative reserves. And it goes like this. An Artist Date is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours weekly, especially set aside and committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist. So a small block of time each week to fill our will. Sounds simple, but much more difficult in practice. My trip to Norway this week was for me a bigger Artist Date. I had large chunks of time for myself to go exploring. I went up a hill to a fortress both at nighttime while the rain was pouring down and again early morning, enjoying a beautiful view of the city of Trondheim. I went running mindlessly around the city and in the surrounding nature. I gave myself time to stop and photograph whatever I found interesting, and I completely immersed myself in this. And now I have all of this in my well, all those impressions stored up for me to tap into. So I said earlier that you don't need to travel or spend any money to achieve this, and well, my example is exactly that, a trip that costs money and well, it's travel. But that's because this is my latest Artist Date. It's also a bigger one and it's fresh in my memory. Travel is a great way to soak up new experiences, but it's not the only way. Far from. You can do this in whatever way you want. The key is simply to give your inner artist time to play. And that means something different for everybody. But it doesn't mean it has to be anything big. And most of the time it probably shouldn't be. Instead, it may be a trip to the local botanical garden, a sunset walk out an unexplored road, a new transportation method, a different way to work. Your inner creative artist doesn't want money or fancy experiences. All it wants is some attention. Thank you for watching this video. The Artist Date is one of 2 tools used for creative recovery explained in The Artist Way. If you're interested in more about this, I'll link to the book below. Go check it out, it's highly worth the read, and thank you again for watching this. I'll see you in the next one.